Hello and welcome to Star Trek. I'm Rohit Khilnani. Joining us are two young and talented actors, Alia, Arjun. Thank you for your time. Guys, before I come to your new film, I'll take you back to the reactions of your previous film. Alia, to you first. Highway got some great reviews. People wrote lovely things about you. Tell me, do you read reviews and do you pick up some important things that people write about you?
For my first film, I didn't understand the idea of reviews and box office and everything, so I was a bit lost. So I was reading, and to be honest, I was not even mentioned much in Student. Highway, of course, the idea was that it would get great reviews, because it should get great reviews because it's that kind of film. I did read some of the reviews, and the thing is, most of the reviews, all of the reviews actually, nobody had any bad to say about me per se, but the film had mixed reviews. So the minute the film gets a bad review, I think it's my bad review. So then I stopped reading reviews after that. And to be honest, what I got from Highway was during shoot itself. So no amount of praise or criticism would change that for me. But definitely when people say that probably I should improve things like diction, this and that, then I work upon it. Like I did that after Student of the Year, but none of this was mentioned during Highway, especially for me.
But as an actor, is it satisfying if you get good reviews and the film?
See, that's what I thought. Probably my idea was that I wanted to be known as an actor eventually, because I was not even mentioned in the reviews after Student of the Year. Here I was mentioned, and people were probably bashing the film up, but saying that I was not letting them down. But the minute the film is bashed up, I feel bashed up. So no amount of praise would ever bring me back to feel like that was a good review for me. Obviously the film also got good reviews, so that also makes me feel better, but I feel for me audience is king. If they seem to love the film, then that is what works, and if my director is happy, then I'm happy.
Right. Arjun, reviews are always a mixed bag. Your last film Gunde got some mixed reviews as well. What is your take on it? You pick up from the bad ones and the good ones as well?
Of course, you see, eventually the critics are also an audience, sometimes not the most correct audience in terms of what does well. All India is different from maybe a critical point of view. But they are an audience, they're a paying audience member, and you have to understand what they also want to see. They want to see improvement in you, or they feel you let them down somewhere. Some people loved the film, some people felt it was okay, some were disappointed with it. So you have to understand in context of the film. I personally would always rate, like she said, eventually we make films for an audience. There's a huge diaspora of audience that we deal with. And the kind of love and appreciation you get from people when you meet them. Like for me, I'll give you a small example. A film like Gunde had its mixed bag of reactions, and genuinely it was a very front-footed film in that sense. So we were never expecting critics to go gaga over it. But when I went to Agra to shoot for Tevar now, they didn't call me Arjun there. They were calling me Bala. So then it kind of outweighs the thing of, okay, critics feel the film didn't have something, it was missing, but the audience doesn't feel that way, otherwise they wouldn't connect with the character. So it's, you have to balance it out in your own head. It's important to understand where the critics are coming from, but eventually if the audience is reacting positively to a film, then that means they like what you're doing. Like in Aurangzeb's case, the critics liked my work, but nobody saw the film. So, you know,
but also I feel like the critics have much more knowledge about films and filmmaking, right? So they probably break it down bit by bit. This went wrong, that went wrong, this was good, that was bad. Audience, I feel, just looks at it at a whole.
They're very simple in their approach to watch a film. If they're connected, they're happy. So in that 3 hours, if you've given them entertainment, they'll come out happy. Like in Ishaqzade's case, there was a reviewer that didn't even mention my name. Now, I can understand if I was not in the film for more than 10 minutes, but he forgot to mention my name in the review, which is fair enough, but it's a bit strange. You're a reviewer, na? He went on and on about the film, and he had his issues with it, and but he forgot to mention me. So then that I cannot take that seriously. Then that's not being a critic.
Yeah, that's kind of unusual actually.
But I can tell you the person. I mean, I know the person, and it's a leading newspaper in our country. So I learned from that you can't take it so seriously that you get bogged down. If somebody writes healthy criticism, learn from it.
Yeah, exactly. Always. It's always a great learning, and it's honestly it motivates you. I feel because even I felt the same way, that that excuse me, I was not whatever, but then I realized that 1 second they know more, they're probably here for a longer time. It's my first film or something like that, so you learn from it. And one of the greatest things I've heard recently was when Deepika, what got her here was once somebody wrote something about her, and she would underline it, and she pinned it up on her board, and she would look at it every day, and that gave her the motivation. So I feel like the greatest motivation comes when you are pulled down.
Right. There will always be some critics who like your work, some people a lot of people will praise you guys. So who is that one person you go to who will give you, that person will give you genuine feedback and say this was right and this was wrong?
No, I have many actually friends in the industry and out obviously, and family of course, who I know will never lie to me. So, like even for a matter of fact, when I didn't know Arjun after Student of the Year, he gave me a very honest review, an opinion, even though I didn't know him that well, you know. So that you kind of click a chord with these few people who you know that will never lie to you. So even my director Abhishek Barman, his opinion also matters to me a lot, because he's not very easily pleased, you know, and he likes the simple things which even I like. So people who are your friends and who you feel can be honest to are always good people to have on your side when you probably think that you've done the best thing. And my father always told me that whenever you feel like you've done really well, go ahead and watch a great performance by another actor somewhere in Hollywood or Bollywood, and then you'll feel how mediocre you are.
Right. I remember on the day your film release, Highway, your father tweeted saying film critics are cultural terrorists. That's, you know, that's obviously coming from on the day of Highway. So do you all believe that, you know, on that, when we
I don't know what that came out of, to be honest. But yeah, anyway.
Okay. Arjun, to you, who's that one person you go to on the, you know, when you really want some genuine feedback?
On my work, always my sister first, because I think she's, despite us being born and brought up in this industry around, she's always been kind of away. So she's the most honest audience I can find at home. My father, I think he's discovering my work by watching these films.
After watching movies,
he's feeling like a father when it comes to my work. So he tries to be as honest, but he has a little bit of bias by being happy seeing me pull off a Gunde, pull off an Aurangzeb, do an Ishaqzadeh. But honestly, I think for me, in my last 3 films, Aditya Chopra validating my work in all 3 films mattered to me, because he's invested so much in me. He's seen this potential in me. So I feel happy, and I really feel excited when he says, okay, I liked your work in Ishaqzadeh, or I thought you were very good as Bala. I feel happy about that.
Right. Did you guys read the book? I remember saying at the press conference, you read this book way before the film was made. Did you enjoy reading the book?
Of course, I loved the book, and I thought that I remember while reading it, I had this thought that this book should be made into a film, because it, you know, for some reason it just fitted perfectly in Bollywood, and I didn't know it was going to be made into a film that time.
Right. You know, the one thing about Chetan's his books are very popular, and his books again they never get good reviews. I mean, it's not even a mixed bag if you go online and see the reviews. Do you think even when it comes to books, something that you say you really enjoyed? Arjun, did you read the book?
I've still not read. He just told me day before, ab to pad le.
Okay, do you think there's a disconnect even here when it comes to books between critics and the real readers?
Definitely, because you know what I also feel sometimes is that you're comparing, you probably have, like, even if you're talking about films, okay, when you're comparing like a Highway to probably a great Hollywood film like a Blue Jasmine, you know, for example. When you do things like this, there's a constant, because you're so aware of the different books and the different films that are out there, that you're constantly comparing. You don't let a film just be 90% of the time. Even we as people, you don't let a film just be.
You don't let people be.
You don't let people be. You're constantly comparing. But this film was better, which is fine. I mean, everybody has a right for opinion. So I feel the same thing happens with books as well. There have been books that have been much more deeper, probably, you know, described much more with much more emotion toward people, because that's something, some of the comments that I read, that many people would say that Two States, according to them, is very frivolous, you know, and I found that very strange, because I thought that it was such a hilarious book and written without trying to make it a good book, you know. It was just, came out of a genuine emotion, and I have met so many people who love Two States.
And he's written about the least frivolous thing in our country, our culture and marriage. So if you put that into perspective, when someone is reading it and finding the idea frivolous, it's a bit strange.
And I genuinely believe that if you have lovers, you have to have haters.
It's
have to, otherwise you're boring.
See,
otherwise you're boring. You're not important.
The thing is, everything is compared. See, a person like you're a reviewer. You will review our film. But if you not put it in context of, say, when you watch Dhoom and you compare it to Fast and Furious, that's wrong, because you see the scale, budget, making, time, the studio investment. The actors who have a certain amount of stardom there, they appeal to a worldwide audience. So their business collections, returns are much more. Like, they made a film called Need for Speed over there. They made it purely for the international audiences because the game is so big. So they know how to run their business. Over here, we are still trying to find our feet. It takes time because our audience is much more difficult than maybe abroad. we deal with many different kinds of people over here. Culturally, I mean, if you ever sit with a distributor, you'll maybe understand that for UP, Bihar, you cannot make a certain kind of film. For Delhi, Punjab, it's a certain kind of flavor that is essential. Nizam mein nahi chalegi agar usme wo nahi hai, you know. Mysore has the most sensible audience. Gujarat, Maharashtra belt, they always go for family.
Then what is two states catered to? Which of these territories?
See, you never make it with that idea. The point is, this is how you get feedback from in terms of the money or the monetary gain the film has.
But two states is a family.
It's actually a pretty well-rounded.
But like you said, you know, ye nahi hai to yahan nahi chalegi, ye nahi hai to yahan.
See, I'm giving you a conversation that happens between people. It's got nothing to do with a film per se.
No, I mean like each state or whatever, they have different names and they have different mindsets. So what they want to see is different, you know. But what we as actors and, you know, in the film industry, directors do is they, at the end of the day, make films that they want to make and you want to be a part of. You know, you have to have a certain connect with the film, and then if it does connect with the rest of the people, even internationally, it's good. It's always good.
Like for example, Gurgaon today has the most amount of multiplexes,
right?
And it has major footfalls and a lot of money is made out of Gurgaon. So it's become an important sector. Now that is the intellectual audience, because that's a working audience, young India audience that goes to watch it, the families that live there, the richer upper class. But that does not mean we are making a film for Gurgaon. Two states is a film for everybody. The idea is to try and appeal to as many people with every film as possible.
Arjun, it's on the book. Didn't you ever think that it's important to read it? And
see, I'm not a ferocious reader. I'd heard about it. I never imagined being a part of it, because when I was becoming an actor, the film had Shah Rukh, Saif, Ranbir, people like that attached. Siddharth Anand, Vishal Bharadwaj were being discussed to direct. And I never imagined that if you read it, then you want to be a part of it. It's a huge craving that develops. It's like tasting dessert and then you want to have the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? I never read it. When I was offered when Karan called me to the office, he offered me the bound script. So he gave me the bound script to read. So I read it, and when I read it, I realized it's as good as reading the book, because he's just trimmed it down minorly. There's no change. And I asked him that, the director Abhishek. He said, I've not changed it. It is exactly because he loves the book. I read the script. I came back the next day to talk to him. I said, I want to read the book. He said, no, I like your interpretation of Krish. So you follow your impulse and your instinct and discover new facets to Krish that don't exist in the existing material. And if you go really haywire, I'll correct you. That is my job as a director. So I think it all stems from the confidence he gave me. Otherwise, I would have gone back and read it. If he had told me, no, you must read it, I would have. For me, then that would be homework and part of the exercise.
Yeah, even before the promos came out, when people read that you're playing a South Indian here, your work was compared to Deepika. Is that a problem? Because this is your third movie and she's done many movies before. How do you take these comparisons?
It was not a problem because they're two different characters and they're not even remotely close. She was playing a South Indian from some remote village. I am playing a Tambram who is from Chennai, Tamil Nadu, who was based in Kolkata before that, who was based somewhere else before that. So she does not have a heavy accent when she's speaking in Hindi and English. And she's a modern day Tamilian. And she has a modern approach to life, and she has a thinking that she wants to lead her life her own way, make money, get a good job, get married to the guy she wants, taking her parents' approval. So when she's speaking to a Krish in Hindi and English, she does not have an accent. But when she's speaking to her parents, she does speak to them in Tamil, because that's how she probably has been brought up. But she doesn't have a heavy accent. So I never thought of this comparison, because they're not the same people. It's like comparing Krish and Gunde. They're not the same people.
You can't compare.
You can't.
You know, so one good thing that this film will do, it will of course tell everyone the difference that everyone is not a Madrasi just down South India.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's kind of
we broke away from the caricature that most people think that, you know, South Indian, you have to die over here, you have to speak like that. You don't really have to speak like that. There are not many people who speak that way.
Or Punjabis like me, don't do, oh yaar, kya ho raha hai, mujhe to pyar ho gaya.
Exactly.
Right, how is it, playing a Punjabi boy shouldn't have been really tough, like,
I never interpreted him as a Punjabi boy, because he's one guy in the book also, you'll realize he has seen his culture so heavily imposed within the family that he almost smiles at it, saying that the Punjabi is never going to leave me, so I don't need to carry it on my shoulders.
Yes, but both these people are very proud of their culture.
But they don't flaunt it.
But exactly, but that they don't flaunt it. as opposed to their parents who have been heavily brought up in that culture. So that's where the clash happens, which they do not expect.
If anything, I'm the antithesis of a typical Punjabi in the film because I'm soft-spoken. I'm emotionally silent in that sense. I don't speak a lot. I don't show too much emotion. Punjabis are known to wear their heart on their sleeve, loud, full of energy all the time. He's a very quiet guy, very minimal in his movements and his behavior, soft-spoken, like I said, emotionally resilient, and it's going against the grain of trying to play the stereotype, would be going against the grain of the idea of the book. The youth today does not carry their culture on their sleeve all the time. So if I meet you, I don't know where you're from unless you introduce your full name.
Sure.
You're not going to just behave from where you're from all the time. It comes in small things. So with Krish also it was that.
Alia, I interviewed Varun and I asked him that, I said Alia's film has done well. She's got great reviews. So has Sid's. Is that, does that add pressure on you as an actor to perform and so that, all the 3 students get the good second release? He said, I'm in touch with Alia and it's never a concern. So tell me, now that his film has done well, are you guys like, were you confident or are you relieved now?
No, we're very happy. I mean, of course, everybody, all his friends are happy for him because he's really worked really hard on this film. And for one thing, this was something that he's probably wanted to do all his life. So he was too scared. If he doesn't crack this genre, then he would probably feel like he would fail. And he really cracked it, and how. And he surpassed me and Sid in a big way. So I feel that, all of us are really happy for him, of course.
What has happened after your episode with Coffee with Karan? Everywhere I've seen that you go, your GK is tried and tested. We are not going to do that. But what I want to ask you is, do you want to tell all those people who ask you one general knowledge question at every press conference, at every soundbite that you're giving, is it that you go back and read up that I should know this, or do you just want to tell them that I'm an artist and I'm supposed to act? What is the reaction?
No, see, I'll be very honest, and I've been honest about the fact that firstly on that show, I was just too overwhelmed, and I'm trying to explain this to everybody. I knew the answer. I was just, it's just been videotaped. Sometimes you have a natural instinct to give something else, but then you get time to correct it. Here I didn't get time to correct it because all of you all were watching me. Anyway, but I do agree that I'm not very aware of many things in life. I'm mostly aware of the things that I'm interested in, which I'm not saying is good, but at least I don't pretend to be intelligent. So I'd rather be stupid than pretend to be intelligent.
Sure. But is that the reaction? If you don't get it right, do you go back and read, or you just want to tell them, it's okay, I don't know?
No, I do go back and read, but it's not like I laugh with myself before anybody can laugh with me. So it's okay, I ask questions, at least I'm asking and not pretending.
Right. Okay, so we move on to, that sounds good, yeah. We move on to the next, your next movies after this. Arjun, what will be your next release after this?
I'll have Finding Fanny, which is directed by Homi Adajania.
Right.
That's got Nasiruddin Shah, Pankaj Kapoor, Dimple Kapadia, Deepika and myself. So that's an English Konkani film on a road trip to find Fanny. That should be out later this year. That's produced by Saif and Dino's company, Illuminati Films. Then I'm doing my father's home production, which Sanjay and my father producing together with Eros International. That's called Tevar.
So that's why you're working out for that?
Yes, not working out so much. It's just trying to look like a kabaddi player because I'm playing kabaddi in the film for almost 2 or 3 major sequences. So trying to get into slightly bigger shape for that.
Alia, what next?
I have Humpty Sharma Ki Dulhania with Varun, which will release sometime in July, I think.
Sure, looking forward to a lot more entertainment.
Where I play a Punjabi.
You play a Punjabi? Yeah. That will be more believable, you think?
You find this unbelievable?
No, not at all.
I think you should watch the film and decide.
Great. Thank you so much, guys. Keep entertaining us. Thank you very much.